amazing experience. The students were fantastic. As a teacher, I got better over time. Honestly, that first year of teaching is absolutely the hardest thing I have ever had to do. But after teaching, I got really inspired about how tech can help in education. And so those first three startups before CodeSee were all in ed tech. Um, I actually like to think that CodeSee is kind of at this intersection of developer tools and education, though, because we're really trying to help teach you about your code base. Uh, anyway, how am I doing on time? I think that's probably enough about me. Um, Thanks for listening, folks. Uh, Looking forward to connecting more.
I'll go next. I'm Liz. I am one of the principal engineers here at CodeSee, and I think I was employee number 4. So I was in pretty early. So I've had a pretty varied career. I got my degree in computer science with a minor in music from a very small place in Michigan, one of the snowiest places in the country, actually. So when I graduated, I moved to Hawaii and worked on very large telescopes on top of a volcano. I've also been a video pirate hunter in my career, doing, like security for streaming services. And CodeSea is my first real startup, and I'm loving it and loving that I get to work on something I actually want to use and get to use. And then outside of work, I'm a composer. I've done stuff for orchestras and soundtracks for films. I even did an audiobook soundtrack once, which was really cool. So, yeah, that's me. I'll pass it on to Grayson next.
Hi, I'm Grayson. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm an engineer here at CodeSee, principal engineer, and I live in Seattle, not too far away from Liz, actually. And then when I'm not working at CodeSea, I'm actually an artist who uses technology to create magical experiences using light, projection, and sensors. But as a Seattleite, I think it's kind of required for me to like hiking and boating. But secretly, I really hate tent camping. Like, give me a cabin, give me like a yurt or something. I'm fine with that. But like tent camping, no thanks. I do have about 1 million different hobbies, which I could go on and on about, because I love learning new things, which is why I like working at CodeSea, because CodeSea is about learning new things, and teaching people to learn new things, new code bases, and I think that's pretty awesome. About 20 years ago, I did run away and join the circus as an aerialist, and that actually changed my life forever. My trapeze partner was actually a director at my last company, where I stayed for 10 years before joining CodeSea. So circus has been a huge part of my life, and just life-changing for me. And that's it for me. Eden, why don't you go next?
Hi, I'm Eden. My pronouns are she and her. I do marketing ops here at CodeSea. I think I'm the most recent hire, so I'm super excited. I live in Berkeley, California. I have been involved with various different startups because I love being part of a team building stuff. This is my 7th startup. I started out in structural engineering and got really frustrated that code wasn't designed for users. You had to like force fit everything. And I love the fact with CodeSea, it's like you can see what the product does and jump in and make intelligent choices. When I'm not working at CodeSea, I used to work for a Thai chef in Austin, helping with their franchise. So I cook Thai food, and I grow a garden with lots of tomatoes, and I think we're about to have something like 40 plus squash and about 20 plus eggplant. We use everything in our stir fries. So it's pretty cool. I like cooking for my teammates. I haven't got to do that in person yet. We did a Zoom cooking date when I first heard about CodeSee. Oh, and my husband is one of the principal engineers here at CodeSee. So I've been involved with CodeSee since over a year now. And I'm super excited to actually be part of the team. And I will pass it to Shania.
Hi, everybody. I am so excited to have all these lovely folks on, and I am the most boring of everybody. But I'm Shania. I currently am the CEO most days. CodeSee has been in my brain and in Josh's brain for going on 3 years now, even though we officially started the company in 2019. I remember the days where we'd sit at Stanford and just read research papers and try to figure out how we make this possible. And I absolutely love the product that we built and the team members that have also kind of joined this crazy ride. And, at the end of the day, we're so proud to be able to help developers get their jobs done easier. I have no hobbies outside of CodeSee. We do so much and we do so many awesome, fun things. And I feel like every day is like a hobby. So I do occasionally listen to Audible books. And I have a lovely dog named Tommy who's about to be 14. And that's basically how I spend my life. I think the next step I'm supposed to be able to do a demo for everybody. Everyone's been talking about CodeSee. But maybe before we do that, do we want to talk about gardening?
We'll probably do that later, but
Okay.
I also have a bazillion squash. We could make this a gardening stream right now. I can do that.
You totally could.
And food. Yeah.
Sorry, and also I live in San Francisco. Even like it is abnormally bright today. Like it's usually cloudy and gross. So if I'm still backlit, I'm sorry. The sun is sun.
Oh gosh, that's totally fine. But yes, if we have time afterwards, we can definitely talk about gardening at the end of the stream. But I think we need to give the people what they want. And the people want a demo. So I'll have everyone off the stream except Shania, and she's gonna go and take care of that for us. Thanks, Shania.
Thank you. All right, let me make sure that I can share my screen. There it is. Okay. Hopefully everyone can see. StreamYard is giving us a thumbs up that I can see my screen. So we want to think about CodeSee as a Google Maps for your code workflow. Our platform is really broken up into a few steps. It's broken up into the discover or preparing step. And then we bring the information that you discover into how you write code. And then once you're done writing code, how do you review that code and get feedback from your teammates? And then finally, once you've got your change merged, how do you automate that process, not just for your future team members, but also for your future self? Because we all know that we forget what we write 6 months ago. And so you can think about our platform, how do you discover the platform in a couple different layers. So your code base is essentially many different layers. You've got your top service layer if you're on a microservice architecture. If you're on a monorepo, you can still see interdependencies between your monorepo. And below that, you've got your directories. My screen is not being shared. It says that it is.
There it is.
It did it? Okay.
Yep.
Everybody see? Perfect. Awesome. So this is the top service layer where we detect your services if you are an enterprise customer to be able to detect how your services work and then being able to find all of those references in the code, all your API calls. And then if you would also like to understand your endpoints, we can also do that as well, which is really, really helpful for you understanding where your endpoints are defined and what is consuming those endpoints. You can imagine that as the top layer of your code base. And as you dig in further, we can also map your code. So here you see an automatic visualization. You can think about our code maps in two layers. The bottom layer is an auto-detected map that we can visualize through all the files, folders, connections, etc. And then on top of that, you can add any kind of architectural knowledge that you want. So we built the platform to be really, really flexible to show you, hey, you need to onboard a new engineer, you need to onboard to a new part of the code base, you need to label your technical debt, which is exciting for many people. If you want to dive into a new code base and label what's helpful versus not helpful and how do you start to plan things out, you can absolutely do that. If you want to label who owns which part of the code and who doesn't have, what part of the code doesn't have an owner, you can absolutely do that as well. Here's another example of a really awesome onboarding map to kind of show you how do you onboard to our community. And as you dive in, you'll be able to see how everything is connected. We really tried to build the platform for the ultimate user experience so that you can make sure that you're not seeing tons of lines at the same time and you can really dig in piece by piece. If you need to go to the code, you've got a button right here to do just that. We also tried to give you some ways of visualizing some automatic insights where all the latest activities happening, where all the latest commits are happening, really trying to help you understand and get that key insight as quickly as possible. So as you all are diving in, labeling, you can do that by yourself, but also these maps are real-time collaborative. So if you need to debug something with a teammate, you can hop in. If you need to add a question, also you can label comments here, and it doesn't clutter up your code because everything is positioned in the CodeSee platform and your code stays very clear, although everything is connected. So once you're done discovering tons of questions that you could have at any layer of your code base, you're going to want to use all of that to make your code change. You can, once you've got your code change, what you want to do is throw up a draft PR. And we can visualize your change. Here, I'll actually go to Liz's first. This is a change that Liz made. You can visualize your change on a PR. So don't have to worry about whether you've got things connected in GitHub or not. Here's your draft PR. We can automatically visualize that right there on the PR so your workflow isn't interrupted. If you want to dive in, you can just click on this image, which you can really see the CodeSee magic, and you're able to really interact with this review map. So once you've got the PR to look exactly as you imagine it, you can make a tour for your teammates to really understand what you did, why you did it, any gotchas. You can actually visually walk someone through why you made the change that you did and how that change impacts the rest of your code base, which is super exciting. There's a ton of other things in here, such as like a nice file browser where we really try to give you some high-level visualizations of what's added, moved, or changed. You're able to kind of make this review exactly the way you'd like it to be, whether you want to only look at the changed files or whether you want to see these contact notes, whether you want to turn the lines on or off. Any way that helps you to understand what's going on, you can do that. And then you can complete the code review right here with this visualization instead of alphabetically, which saves so much time. You just double click on a node and this just becomes an actual checklist, just as you would see it on a diff anywhere else. But as you start to check these off, it will also show up on the map. So if you need to review piece by piece, or you need someone else to review this in chunks, you can absolutely do that. And once you've got the code, your code change all good to go, what's super exciting is we've launched today a new piece of the platform that we are super excited about called code automations. And code automations allow you to create automations to take that code knowledge that you've discovered throughout the process as well, and then automate that for yourself or your future teammates. So I'll show you a quick version of this. This is one of my favorites to show. Usually, we have a process for migrations. We have push button deploys. And so the code needs to work before the migration is run and after the migration is run. And so what we've done here is we have created an automation for ourselves to know, to remember when you make a new pull request, that this has to work, as well as we've added a comment for ourselves to say, this is why this has to work this way. So that we're showing this automation right when the file is being added to the migrations folder. And it allows us to only see an automation on in a particular case, so that your PRs aren't filtered or cluttered, completely cluttered with knowledge or information that you actually will just eventually ignore. So giving you the right information when you need it. We can do a couple of different options for when the file path or when the file name or files added to folder. We will add more things over time, but you can just easily do a quick regex on how things work to make sure that it only shows up right when you need it. This really helps for, onboarding. You're in the middle of a refactor, SOC 2 compliance. This helps with migrations. This helps with if you touch authorization for whatever reason, make sure your CTO or make sure your team lead approves it, or you get sign off from the security team. Really making sure that as you are moving forward or as you go for your next code change, all of the information that you learn is at your fingertips. So really giving I will save that because that is a real thing. And that really kind of gives a quick overview of the platform. Did any of the team members have any questions or things that they wanted to share?
I think we probably can wrap up the demo. I've seen that there's a couple of people watching right now. And if there's any questions or any add-ons by Josh, Grayson, Liz, or Eden, feel free to do so. I'll give you guys a couple of seconds or forever. Just extend into the next section that we're going to do.
And that was great, Shania. Thank you.
Thank you, Shania. I'm so excited about automations because we've been using them internally and they've already saved us from making mistakes. Like I posted a review and then I got a checklist that was like, hey, did you remember to do these things? And it was just right on the PR. And I was like, you know what? I actually forgot to do one of those steps. And and it just saved me from having to like make the mistake, and whoever else was reviewing from having to like also remember, so it caught the error before it ever went out. So it's been great. I think it's going to be huge, and I can't wait for everybody else to tell us how they're using them.
I just want to pile on to that. As a reviewer, I've noticed it to be really helpful because I'm maybe one of the few people that knows every one of these gotchas, or at least I think I do. And so I'll go into a review. I'll be like, oh, I need to double check that the person remembered to do the thing. But now I find that I don't have to do that anymore because I just trust the CodeSee is going to remind them and they'll check it off. And it just kind of frees up me from that worrying, and I can just focus on the code review.
Remembering is CodeSee's job now.
I like from a marketing perspective that when I'm pairing with developers on functionality, if it's going to impact our operations and customer success programs, we flag it right there and add it to code automation so that before anything goes live, we know. That's huge. I've never been any other place where we've had that. So code automation is so far my favorite.
Amazing.
I just wanted to add, the team has been so good about making sure that not only have we built this platform, but that it's secure and that we really have built a trustworthy platform that people can trust us with their code. And we don't store any of the code on our servers. We use all GitHub's APIs to make sure that we can get the information that you need. But all the code is stored and is saved on GitHub, as well as we're put in a lot of work to make sure that we are and stay SOC 2 Type 2 compliant, really giving organizations peace of mind that you can go to your boss with this and be like, yes, I'd like to use CodeSee, and you can trust it. And as of the launch today, we've added even more governance features to kind of add that one extra layer, and we'll keep doing that over time. It's something I'm really, really proud of.
And Shania, since you mentioned that we're SOC 2 compliant and we don't store code in our own servers, can you talk a little bit about our template for convincing your boss or your manager on if you really want to use CodeSee and need that extra push? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so on our website, CodeSee.io, we have a convince your boss why you need CodeSee kind of page. It has all the questions that you or your IT person or your boss or your purchasing person or your process person, procurement is the word I was looking for, person might need to answer around security and pricing and what we store and what we don't store. And, can you does everybody on the team have to use CodeSee? The answer is no. Everything stays synced to GitHub. Or how questions or things about our process is all right there in a single template that you can just copy, shoot over in an email, or you can just take that link and send it over to whoever you need to and let us do the hard work for you.
Awesome. That definitely makes it easier to get a boss to sign off that approval. Thank you so much for mentioning that. Now, the people have asked a few questions, and we are now going to go over our building CodeSee section of the live stream. So I will be asking a few questions to our team, and this is a free-for-all, so anyone can answer. And we have about 10 to 15 minutes in this section. So I'll start off. The first question is, what was the most challenging part of building CodeSee?
Oh, gosh.
I feel like each of us would have our own answer to this.
Yeah.
I would say because we work with GitHub and external sources, making sure the APIs can actually do what we want, and also keeping everything in sync between the data that we have and the extra kind of layers we want to add on top, plus what GitHub knows, even just checking off the things in the review map, making sure all of that stays in sync is pretty challenging.
Yeah, I think kind of piggybacking off of that a little bit, I think one of the hardest things is that I worked on was the ability for multiple people to be able to edit things at the same time. That is mostly just a given in today's world, but there's a lot of kind of deep thinking that has to go into how to make that work and how to make it work well. Luckily, we had some time to actually like spend time to get that right, and it seems to be working pretty well. Haven't had any major issues with it since it became live, and so like that was a fun technical challenge that allowed me to dig deep into things like CRDTs and stuff. So it was super fun, but super challenging.
I can pile on here. I think another thing that's been a real challenge that I'm proud of is how quickly and accurately we're able to like process a code change and produce a map from that. And it's been a process. Like first, to support a number of different languages, and the best way to analyze each language is a little bit different. And then developing that in a way that's incremental so that we don't have to reanalyze your whole code base every time there's a change, but we can do it often in under a minute. We can analyze the change, update all of your existing maps to keep them up to date, give you a map on your PR to show you like a visualization of this change. I'm really proud that we've been able to do that. It was not easy.
I didn't build anything, but the team worked. They don't let me code anymore. The code's too far gone for me to code. But I'm really proud of all of the performance improvements we've made over the last year. Performance is always one of those things where you're like, we do these things in our heads, right? We read the code line by line and we create these visualizations in our heads. And that can sometimes take, a really long time, depending on if you've got a huge change or you've got a huge part of the code base that you've never seen before. And you think, oh, well, it's going to take 5 minutes for this thing to load. So that's so much better. But it's not. You've got to really have those things to move quickly. And we've made so many improvements. And really, really proud of the team for keeping those things going as code bases grow.
Performance is so hard too, because the slowdown is never where you think it's going to be either.
Totally.
Like you're like, I know it's in this, and then you find out it's the thing right next to it. And use tools, use profilers. That's my advice.
Dev tools. Use all the dev tools.
Use all of them.
All the
dev tools are great.
So we've talked a lot about who should be using CodeSee. What does everyone think about who should not be using CodeSee?
Do you hate progress?
Maybe people who hate progress.
I mean, I don't know. Like if you're a super command line warrior who hates UIs, but like, come on, it's 2022. Like, tools are good. Use them.
I mean, I think there are some people who consider themselves more visual and others that don't. But what I've found, to give you a non-answer, is like, even for people who aren't as visual, you're still doing a lot of work in your head that you don't need to be doing if you had something a little bit more visual. Even if you're really good at it. I mean, I've been doing this 20 years now. I'm pretty good at holding things in my head. But I still don't like doing code reviews without a map in front of me. But I can also give like an honest answer. Right now, we only support GitHub. So if you don't have your code on GitHub, you probably can't use CodeSee right now. We don't support every language. So if you're using a programming language that we don't support, well, actually, some of our features will still work, but some of them, the dependency detection won't, and that might make you sad. And if you don't like being a little sad, then use CodeSee.
But
But
tell
you
us.
should let us know. Right, exactly. Tell us. We're adding things all the time, and we want everyone to kind of be a part of this journey with us.
Absolutely. So for any feedback, we're very responsive as a team on socials, on our product hunt page, in this current YouTube live stream, on Discord, on Slack, and email. I mean, I will support at CodeSee.io. So yes.
And in the product.
And in the product as well. So we have all of our bases covered. So any feedback or any recommendations or suggestions, we're always open to that. And speaking of feedback and suggestions, if you could change one feature or functionality that we currently have at CodeSee, what would it be and why? This is for everyone.
Okay, I have an answer. It might be slightly controversial, but I have an answer.
Strong opinions are welcome.
Yeah, social previews. Like when I post into Slack, like I want to be able to see the map, and we don't currently unfurl the map fully. And so being able to see that would be fantastic. That's kind of like my number one thing. Like when I have time to work on something that means that it's super meaningful to me, like that's the thing that I want to actually work on.
That's not a controversial answer.
I want that. No, I'm in.
Yeah, this is a backlog. We'll get to it soon.
Yeah, it's totally
I was
backlog.
Mine is when you're just like making your code map. We do a lot of work to like we give you a decent automatic layout to start, but then like everything is kind of manual. You get to position things where you want. I think we should default to automatic layouts and have manual layouts be an option. So that's my kind of, we built it with manual layouts to let people have control, but just I don't know. I don't want to move nodes around. Maybe I'm weird.
You're not. That's not what makes you weird, Liz.
Oh, okay.
For me,
And also, I can safely say we're all very weird. Like I think it's part of being a developer. But yeah, sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead, Eden.
Mine's just a minor thing. I usually have my screen on a laptop and I have the text enlarged so I can easily see it. And sometimes the product tours are like right up at the top and I can barely click on like the links. So I have to like downsize my screen. So it'd be nice if it just like pushed it down just a little bit so those don't disappear. That's my one nit.
Okay. So with these changes, what is one feature or functionality that doesn't exist yet at CodeSee that you would like to have? And sky's the limit. But please make your answer, less than 2 minutes in length.
The magic button. That just makes everything magic.
That's sky's the limit for sure.
Please elaborate on this magic button.
I just want it to do my job for me so I can take a nap or something. I don't know.
For me, like I would love to have some like artificial intelligence that can say, hey, here's a pattern of something that is maybe not optimal, and here's a suggestion on how to fix it. Whenever you're making your code reviews. So some kind of like automated code review bot that can look at like higher order like functionality and higher order organization that could then suggest better ways of doing things.
That reminded me, so we talked about the automations and we have triggers for like, hey, you edited this file that matches this regex. Assign me as a reviewer. But I would really love, hey, you created a new dependency on this file. Please add me as a reviewer or put a checklist, because that would have helped me at previous jobs when we were trying to deprecate APIs and people kept including them. And we have the dependency detection. So I really want that as a different trigger option for our automations.
Yeah. So are we, Shania, can we just say things that we're definitely going to do?
Yeah.
Because like
it's Anna's question.
that's something we're definitely going to do.
I mean, well, that's what's great about it
Yeah.
is like the features we want are in the backlog half the time.
That's true. So I'll throw two out there. The easy one and the magic one. The easy one is we use conventional comments when we're doing code reviews. So it's like, is this a question or a suggestion? Is it a blocker or not a blocker? And I just want autocomplete for that because they're long. And I don't feel like typing them every time. So every time I make a new comment, I just want it to like just autocomplete what kind of comment it is. But the thing, you heard it here first, folks. We've been tinkering a little bit with what we call move to code detection, which is detecting that code was moved from one file to another. Git does a pretty good job of detecting that an entire file moved. But if you just move a piece of it or move a piece around in a file, the diffs that you see aren't very helpful. And we've been working on some magic to let you actually see side by side, oh, here's where the code used to be, here's the new place, and see a diff between it so you can actually tell if anything changed or not, instead of just trusting the person who says nothing changed, or like, oh, I just like fixed a typo or whatever. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. I could go on, but there's limited time.
I want our maps in 3D.
Okay.
I want to be able this was not metaverse thing when I imagined it, but I want it to be around me so I can dive into the map and dive out of the map and see the data flowing through the map and being able to collapse things around me and throw it over there like that way and then bring it back if I want to. So I have all of these things not in 2 dimensions. I want it around me so I can dive in it, dive out.
Love that. CodeSee in the metaverse. Let's do that. Let's get that.
Josh is gonna kill me.
I'm here for it.
Josh is
I think
like, oh no, we're live.
Everybody wants that.
Everybody wants
That's a great idea.
Do we have budget to hire a 3D graphics engineer? Or...
No, Grace is gonna do it.
Oh, great.
Grace is, look how excited he is to do that. It's really excited. I'm not going to take that away from him.
My pie in the sky is I want to be able to look at the code, visualize it, and see where all the product analytics pieces are so that I can see what flows where and troubleshoot with a visual map.
That's exciting. Analytics is hard. Don't even get me started. I will not digress.
So we talked a lot about features and functionalities that's in our backlog and what we've built so far, and we've built a very special dev tool right here. What do you think, or which feature or functionality do you think would surprise a developer using CodeSee for the first time? Like a mind-blown moment. Basically, this question is which or what is the first thing that they should do when using CodeSee?
Review maps. Review maps are amazing. Oh my gosh. Like it just posts them to your PR so you can see, and then they're interactive, and reviewing code without a map feels archaic now to me. So PR maps.
We review code alphabetically in most programs, and it's just like that's not how code works. So review maps like instantly let you connect if you're diving into one file, it'll pull in the other files that are related to it and just those files. So you can like review a small chunk of a PR and just see the related code and check that off and then move on to the next part. So yeah, like on any PR bigger than like 5 files, I just don't want to do it any other way.
Yeah, I mean, I echo PR maps. Like anytime I'm working in a new repo, and if I forget to add it and somebody else adds it and then it shows up in a PR, I'm like, oh yeah, maps, yay. And so yeah, it's hands down like the wow factor is from the PR maps.
And I'd say like it's not that that's the only wow factor, but like when you're setting up CodeSee, that's the instant thing that happens, right? Like as soon as it's set up, all your PRs start getting the maps, and you can start doing the code reviews. The other features like code maps are great, but you do have to like set them up. Automations are great, but
I was actually going to add something. Yeah, because code maps, I've seen a lot of people set up code maps for the first time, and I think people get very excited about seeing all of their code mapped, but everybody doesn't realize how much spaghetti code they have. And they think that they are unique in that they have spaghetti code, but literally everybody has their own special plate of spaghetti. And they get very overwhelmed of like, oh, I'm the unique thing and everybody else's code is perfect. And it's false. It's false. Everybody, and so coming to that realization that you are not alone with how your code looks under the hood and visualizing it is like, oh wow, like oh my gosh, we're working up to this ideal, but everybody is in this boat. Has been really a really good aha moment to be like, hey, we're all in this together, and my plate of spaghetti is not better or worse than your plate of spaghetti.
It just has a different sauce.
Right. Or noodles.
Linguini code.
Right.
The feature that I like the most, that I recommend to developers, is if you have to work with technical sales engineers or supports, having tours, setting up a tour of how the code works so they can, especially places where people have problems, like it's invaluable. Like the person just jumps in, sees what's tricky, and then they come to you with better questions. That's the feature I would like. Make sure you have tours, use those.
Amazing. So speaking of sauces, we're going to, I love this conversation, by the way. We're going to ask a few, or I am going to ask a few spicy questions to the CodeSee team. So this question might be a little bit more towards, the opposite roles that we have in the company. If you can exchange places with a role or a specific someone in the company, which role would it be, or which team, or which job functionality?
Oh my god, everyone else's jobs are so scary though.
I was like, I don't think anybody's going to want to switch with me.
Yeah, I was going to say, first thing I know is I don't want the CEO role.
Yeah. I'm going to choose Tommy. Tommy's our CEO, Shanae's dog, and he's kind of our mascot, and he gets to nap on the couch all day. That's the job I want.
Tommy has a pretty awesome job.
Can I magically be good at this job when I swap to it?
Okay, sure. Fine. You can be as good as the person that you're switching it with.
Okay. Well, I think I'd switch with you, Anna. I think you get to engage with the community all day and put on these awesome events. And I think that would be super fun if I was half as good at it as you are.
Thank you.
Yep, I
feel like there's something there.
No.
Shanae's like, oh my gosh, which one?
I have 10 jobs, right? Like in one, because we're a super small lean team, and like I still have 10 jobs. So like I am still like on intercom doing technical support, and I'm still doing
sales, like talking to all of our users. I'm doing product stuff and user research and interviews, which I, love. And I'm also data science and looking at analytics. And I'm like also, investor relations. And I'm also like, it's like which one of the jobs do I switch to? But I have many of them.
What about this? Which one would you keep out of the 10 jobs?
Well, I love building the product and talking to people. Like this sounds cliche, but I've been in dev tools for 10 years, right? This is my calling. Like, this is the reason I'm put on this earth, to like help create force multipliers and provide a tool that moves people forward. And the best way that I know how to do that is by talking to people, talking to users, fixing their problems, and then coming up with a plan to actually get that thing built and executed, and then double checking that we didn't fudge it up along the way, is like the best way that I know how to make an impact in the world. So I'd keep that one.
Okay.
I'd give up data science. I'd give it. The tools are hard. And we've talked about what we'll do after CodeSee, if that's ever a thing. And someone needs to build a better data tool. Lots of people are working on that, though.
I think I'd switch places with Cubes. He's one of the principal engineers at CodeSee, and my husband, because he's able to be super focused. And in marketing ops, I'm like pulled all sorts of different ways. So it'd be great to like just dive in and be less distracted.
My bad. I feel like I'm the cause of that.
No, lots of SaaS tools doing things they shouldn't be doing.
It's fair.
And I think for me, either Anna or Eden, because I think their jobs are super fascinating in different ways. I love the community that Anna has started to build and is building, and seeing her approach to that is just amazing. And then Eden, like, what you do is like dark magic to me, and I would love to understand it better, because I don't understand how you get to the insights that you get to with the data that you have. And so, like, to me, that just is super fascinating also.
It's magic.
It is magic a lot of the times.
Okay. So, because we've talked about, exchanging places with another colleague, and I know everyone's an expert here, which type of routine do you have in your workday that makes you you? A little bit of self-reflection. Maybe we can talk about maybe a routine in the morning or before you wrap up your workday. How do you do your job and do it so greatly? Liz?
Are we?
Absolutely.
Does drinking copious amounts of coffee in the morning count?
Not
sounds like
copious.
Whatever works.
One thing I do have for end of the day is I have sometimes a hard time, not a very good morning person, so I have a hard time getting going. But before I leave in the day, I write on a sticky note, like the very next thing I was going to do. Like, you were going to look at types.ts and figure out, whatever it was, like literally the file or the thing I was going to write or look at or change. And I stick that right in the middle of my monitor so I can't see anything, like it's blocking my view. That way, when I get in the morning, it's like, oh, I'm doing this now. And it helps get over that kind of inertia if you're not a morning person.
That's a great tip.
That is great. I was I've been sitting here thinking, oh, I don't have any routines. And that's nonsense because every day at 3 o'clock, I start to lose focus and energy. And then it's mango time and I eat a mango and then I am good to go for the rest of the workday. And I've been doing it for so long now that like at 2:45, like my body is just craving it. It's like every day I feel it. But yeah, that's my 3 o'clock 5 hour energy solution. I just have a mango.
Can confirm. We'll be pairing, and all of a sudden Josh will be getting grumpy. I'm like, Josh, it's mango time. It's like, oh yeah.
Oh, it's mango time. Oh, it's mango time. That explains it.
It's pretty much just a meme at the company at this point.
I didn't know that, and how I know.
There are some awesome Dolly mango dancing, very upsetting gift gifs for mango time.
I didn't even post the really disturbing ones. Just gonna say, Dolly is an interesting technology.
It's not quite there yet, but baby steps. I mean, when you try to make a mango date, what's the prop? Dancing mango party time or something?
I think that was yeah.
Basically that.
It's a little scary.
I think for me, like I try to get to a place, like at the end of the day, I try to get to a place that is either complete or has a failing test. So I either try to push out a PR as the last thing that I do for the day, which means that like when I come in, the thing that I'm doing is reviewing the code review, because I do work with a couple of people who are on East Coast time. So by the time I get in, they've already reviewed it, which works great. Or I leave a failing test because that tells me what I know I'm going to be doing next is fixing that test. Those are kind of like my two big end of the day things, but my mornings are extremely regimented. I get up, coffee, breakfast, gym, second breakfast. While I'm eating second breakfast, I'm usually reviewing the code reviews, or just kind of like ramping back up while I'm having my second cup of coffee. And then it's time for our up-ups. And then after that, then I'm just in it for the rest of the day. I also do mango time because at about 2:33 I start getting hungry again. So.
But do you eat mango, or is it just like?
I usually eat kiwi because I just like kiwi better. But
I've got a convert, folks. It's spreading. Look out. Mango time's taking over.
For me, it's salt. At that time of day, I just have to have something salty.
There.
Okay.
I'm like, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, but my routine is typically my husband gets up and makes a French press coffee, and while he's doing that, depending on the day, I review what's happening in DevTools space or what's happening in product analytics. So I kind of have ideas of what the industry is doing and what best practices for what I do are. And then I review a Coda doc that I have that basically says, okay, here's what you did yesterday, so that I can review just to double check that everything's still working the way that I expect it to. A lot of the SaaS tools updates when you're sleeping, and they don't always tell you what they're doing. And I love details, and I love making sure things don't break. So starting off the day knowing that things aren't broken is really helpful for me. And then I dive in.
Y'all are so organized. Jeez, I feel like I'm like hanging on, trying to like, like, oh God, what am I doing?
Well, I feel like I'm on that end of the spectrum because at any given time, like I'll have a schedule of what I'm supposed to do that day. And I'll get up and like I start my day by walking the dog. So I get some fresh air and get outside. And sometimes I'll grab a coffee. Sometimes I grab a tea or whatever outside, or I'll make it. Or and I need to listen to something like a nonfiction or like a podcast, or just shut my brain down for a second, because everything that happened the day before will get very like mixed up the next day, and you have no idea what came in overnight, or any intercom messages and the plan that you had for the day could get totally interrupted by a bug or something went down or anything like that.
or some urgent matter. And I do like the most context switching I've ever done in my entire life. So I need sometimes around maybe like 1 or 2, like a 15-minute break to shut it all down and like do something completely unrelated so that my brain can like reset to go back to all of this crazy context switching. I don't ever think that I've done so much context switching.
Thank you for everyone. That's a lot of insight into the CodeSee team. So I'm really happy we did this. We only do have 2 minutes, but I do have one last question that I really want to ask, but I have to be disciplined and I have to demand that everyone just say the name of the person. So my question is, if there was a zombie apocalypse, who from the CodeSee team would be your sidekick partner? And this is a flash round, so I'm just going to pick on everyone, and you're just going to have to say a name, and you cannot explain why, but our audience can tweet at you on socials and demand you to explain, okay? So I'll go first. Eden.
Liz.
Liz.
I'd be the first to die, so I'm not going to inflict myself on anyone.
You get one name, Liz. Let's go.
Solo.
Name. It could be Tommy.
Tommy.
Tommy, oh no,
Tommy's
poor
useless.
Tommy.
Useless.
So am I.
Okay, Grayson.
Pepper.
Okay, Josh.
Cubes.
And
You didn't pick me?
I know. I was no explanation.
I'm kidding.
Off the stream.
I feel like I picked Josh because he's good at directions.
Okay, awesome. Well, we are on the hour. Thank you everyone for joining the live stream. Everyone has enjoyed the behind the scenes, getting to know the creators behind CodeSee. Thank you so much for everyone for tuning in. And please don't forget that we're still on Product Hunt today, and you can still upvote to our Product Hunt page. We're definitely gunning for that Product Hunt of the Day spot and the Product of the Week spot. If you have any questions or concerns or feedback, as I've said, we are available on almost all platforms. So thank you again to everyone and have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Anna.
Bye.